Okay, so last class we covered the process of building a virtual machine. We also covered the basic file system tree. That's the system's root location. And then we also covered a few Linux utilities, such as copying files, moving files, removing files and directories, and creating directories and files. So there are a few more items we need to go over. Displaying contents, searching contents of a file, as well as understanding the command line editor. All right, so I'm going to log into my system. I hope everyone has been able to practice over this week that's gone by. Yeah, just make sure you're keeping up. All right, so right now, where am I currently on my system? So pwd tells me I'm inside of root's home directory. Okay, so let me cd into the home directory. And what is in there? There's nothing there. All right, so I'm going to create a directory. I'm gonna call it cars. And I'm going to do an LL to list out what is there. And I'm also going to create a file. Touch. I'll call this trucks. All right, I'll do an LL to also see what is there. Do you all remember how to remove a file or a directory?
Yes.
Okay, so how would you do that?
To remove a directory is rm-rf.
Okay. And a file?
Rm then cars the name of the file.
Okay. All right, you can also use rm-rf to also remove a file as well. Right, so remember, you can place content into a directory, but you cannot place content into a file. Well, you can edit a file and type items in a file, like a Word document, but you cannot necessarily place a file into a file. You can only place a file into a directory. So right now I'm going to show you how to edit a file, how to open a file, type some information into it, and save the file. So this is the command line editor called VI.
Excuse me, please. You said we can move directory into a directory, or what did you just say?
No, I said you cannot. You can place content into a directory. Like right now on my screen, I have a file and I have a directory. I have a directory called cars, and I have a file called trucks. So let's say I can move the file trucks into the directory called cars, but you cannot move a directory cars into the file called trucks. The same concept in regular, like Windows environments. Okay, so there are so many different types of command line editors. The one that you need to familiarize yourself with, which is common in the field, is called VI. VI is a command line editor. You have other command line editors such as Nano and others as well. You can research others, but what I'm going to teach you with the command line editor, I'm going to teach you is VI. All right, so to edit a file, we're going to edit the file called trucks. So to edit the file is VI space the name of the file. So the name of the file that we want to edit is trucks. So VI trucks. So there's nothing inside of Trucks. Trucks is completely empty. So once I hit enter, it's going to put me into the command line editor. So in order to be able to type anything, right now, if I try to type anything, it's not going to allow me to. You need to put yourself into insert mode before you can type anything. So in order to put yourself into insert mode, once you have edited, once you've VI'd into a file, you hit the letter I on your keyboard. So once I hit the letter I on my keyboard, you'll see on the bottom left corner of my screen of the file that I'm in, it says insert. So right now I'm in insert mode. So insert mode is now what allows me to be able to type inside of my file. So right now I can, type red, you can enter blue, yellow, green, orange. So now you see I've placed some content inside of my file. So this is basically a text editor, almost like a notepad. So now I've placed content into my file. So now what I want to do is I want to save my file. So in order to save your file, you first need to hit the escape key on your keyboard on the top left-hand corner. Once I hit the escape key, you see on the bottom left corner of my screen, as soon as I hit the escape key, it takes me out of insert mode. So now I've hit my escape key, it's taking me out of insert mode. So in order to get out of the file, I'm still in the file. Even though I hit the escape key, I'm still inside of the file. So in order to get out of the file, in order to get out of the file and save the file, you do Shift:WQ. So Shift:WQ, which is write and quit, which is basically save and exit. So Shift:WQ would save and exit you out of the file. So once I hit enter, now it's saved my work and I've exited out of the file. So any questions there?
How did you say we can get into the insert mode again? I just want to jot it down.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to edit my file again. So to edit the file is VI, the name of the file. So trucks. So once I hit enter, it now puts me into the file. So in order to be able to type content inside of the directory, inside of this file, you hit I, the letter I on your keyboard. You hit the letter I. Once I hit the letter I on my keyboard, you see at the bottom left corner, as soon as I hit I, it puts me into insert mode. So insert mode basically tells you, okay, now you can start inserting content into this file. So now it would allow me now to basically start typing content into the file. So the content that I had there is now saved. It was saved. That's why we're seeing that now. Ugo, do you have a question?
Yes, I do have a question. It has to do with the W and the Q, right? So if
Okay.
W means write, ultimately
Mm-hmm.
save, right?
Yes.
And Q means quit,
Which is to exit out of the file.
exit out of the file. Now, can you quit without saving? With how like if you do that in Windows, it'll be like, hey, you sure you want to save first, or would it do something like that?
I'll show you. 1 second, and I'll show you that.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to add some more content into this file. put some names of some cars. So Lexus, Toyota, Lambo. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, okay, let me put myself back into insert mode. So I'm going to save the file now. I'm going to save and I'm going to exit out of the file. So to save and exit, you hit the escape key. You need to get out of insert mode first in order to save and quit out of a file. So to save a file, to get out of insert mode, you hit the escape key on the top left corner of your screen. As soon as I hit escape, it takes me out of insert mode. So now that I'm out of insert mode, to save the file, Shift colon and WQ, write and quit. Basically save and quit out of the file. So once I hit enter, now it's saved my content and has exited me out of the file. So now let's go back into the file again. So I'm going to VI into trucks, right? And I hit enter. So I'm going to, let's go back to the bottom. So the contents I just put there is still there. Lexus, Toyota, and Lambo is still there. So now, let's say you're making changes to a file, right? Let's say you're making some changes to a file. You add one line, you add a second line, you add a third line, and then you realize, wow, I actually didn't need to make changes to this file. I'm in the wrong file. So you don't need to undo your changes. You can actually exit out of the file without saving. So to exit out of the file, first you get out of insert mode. You hit the escape key to get out of insert mode, Shift colon, and just Q. So we're not going to write. Write is to save it. So now we're just going to exit without saving. It's not going to prompt you if you're sure you want to save. It's just going to exit you out of the file without saving. So colon Q is to exit without saving. So as soon as I hit enter, okay, so you might get this prompt here. It says no write since last change. Add an exclamation mark to override. So I'm going to hit escape once again, Shift colon Q, and I'm going to add an exclamation mark there. So Shift quit, and I'm going to add the exclamation mark to override to allow me to exit out of the file. So once I hit enter, now it's taking me out of the file without saving. So to ensure that I actually did exit out of the file without saving, let me VI into the file once again. And now you see data 1, data 2, and data 3 are no longer there because I did not write and quit. Any questions there? So that's saving and exiting, or just exiting without saving. So to save and exit is colon WQ. To exit without saving is colon Q. At times you may be prompted to add an exclamation mark. Don't be worried or anything once you see that. Just add the exclamation mark at the end. Just telling you that you just need to override just at this moment. You won't always get that prompt, but when you do, it just means to add an exclamation mark there when you're exiting out. So now, any questions there? Do you all understand that? Okay, I'll take no noise as a good thing. All right. Okay, so now we know how to save and quit a file. The command line editor is an extremely dynamic file editor. There are literally maybe thousands of things you can do here inside of this file to make your work easier. So there's so many things you can do in here. So let's say I'll just give you an example. So let's say you had a line that was, maybe you had a long line. Let's say, let me just create, oops. All right, so I'm just going to write a quick sentence. Currently, okay. So let's say you're in the work field and you were editing a file and you know that, okay, I need to duplicate a particular line, maybe about 3 times or so, or even like twice. And what you can do, you can type that sentence out as many times as you need to, but that's just taking the long way. So a shortcut you can take in the VI command line editor is you hit your escape key to get out of insert mode. You place your cursor underneath the line that you want to make changes to, that you want to duplicate. So I want to make changes to this sentence here that I just created. So I want to basically duplicate this line. So to duplicate a line, basically like copy and paste, is once you're out of insert mode, you hit the escape key, you hit the letter Y twice, which is basically yank yank. So you hit the letter Y twice, Y, and then you hit the letter P to paste. So P for paste. So what I've done is I've duplicated the line that the cursor was on. So I basically copied that line to my clipboard. And now I can continue hitting paste, which will continue to allow me to duplicate the line as many times as I need to. And let's say you wanted to delete a line. Let's say you wanted to delete a line. You make sure you're out of insert mode, and you hit the letter D twice. DD is for delete. The letter D, you hit that letter, that key twice. DD will delete a line. So if I hit DD twice, gets rid of that line. Maybe you didn't see that. Let's go up to Lexus. So let's say I wanted to delete that line. So I hit the letter D twice. DD will delete a line. So DD will delete a line. So like I was saying, there's thousands, so many things that you can do in this command line editor. But what you need to know is how to get into the command line editor, how to place contents, and how to save. :WQ would actually save and exit. :Q would exit without saving. Shift:(X) will actually save and quit as well. Instead of :WQ, you can just do :X. That will also save and quit out of the file. So :X, enter. That would save your contents. So :X and :WQ do the same thing. So you can either choose to use :X or you can choose to use :WQ. But :Q is only to save without exiting. Sorry, to exit without saving. Any questions? You all can still hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear you. No, I don't have any
Yes.
questions.
No questions. Okay.
No question.
All right. So I'm going to edit that file once again, VI trucks. And like I was saying, there's so many things you can do inside of this file. You can actually do some research on VI command line editor shortcuts. I'll show you another one here. Let's say you wanted to delete. Let's say you wanted to delete everything that's on the right side of your cursor. Instead of deleting the whole line, I just want to delete everything that's on the right side of my cursor, where my line on that particular line. So you make sure you're out of insert mode and you do Shift D. Shift D will delete everything to the right that was on that line, depending on where your cursor is. So if I go to the next line and I place my cursor here, right under the C where it says class, I do a Shift D, that will delete everything from that point to the right side. So like I was saying, there's so many different things you can do in this file. To get to the very bottom, let's say you have a huge file. Let's say you have a huge file. Maybe you can get into a file that has maybe 1,000 lines. I mean, you're not going to hold the down arrow key until you get all the way to 1,000. I mean, that might take you until you have to clock out of work. So what you have to do is Shift G. So Shift G takes you to the bottom of the file, to the very bottom of the file. Shift G takes you to the very bottom of the file. And to get back to the very top of the file is just GG, no shift. Just you hit the letter G twice. Takes you to the very top of the file. So this is a small file, so it's going to be a little hard to see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit out of this file at the colon there, and I'm going to show you a much larger file. I'm going to go into one of the log files. I'll explain logs, but this is just to demonstrate a much larger file and being able to move around. So I'm going to CD into var log, enter. So I'm going to do an LL in here, and there's a file in here called messages. Those are one of the log files, but I'll explain all of that to you once we get to the topic for logs. So I'm just going to VI into that file called messages. Messages is a file. It's a pretty decent large file. It's stored. That's where all of your logs are basically dumped to. So VI messages. So once I hit enter, don't worry about the content that's in here. It's a file, and anything that's done on the system is logged here into this file. But I'll explain all of this to you once we get into that topic. So right now, we're in a pretty large file. Right now, we're at the top of the file, and it says January 16th. So if you wanted to get all the way to the bottom of the file, if you hold the down arrow key, it's going to take you a long time. We're still in January 16th. Still in January 16th. So there's a lot of stuff that's inside of this file. So in order to get to the very bottom, like I said, Shift G. Now it takes you to the very bottom of the file. Now you can see we're in January 23rd, today's date. And to get back to the top of the file, is GG. GG takes you back to the top of the file. So GG takes you back to the top of the file. Any questions there? Okay. All right, so now I'm going to exit out of this file. So now I've exited out of the file. I'm going to go back to my home directory. I'm going to CD back to my home directory. Do an LL. All right, so my contents are still there. All right, so the VI editor, VI command line editor. So do we have a fairly good understanding of VI at this point? Do you understand VI?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So there's, like I said, there's so many different things you can do inside that file. If I were to teach you everything, it could take us until the end of the year. There's so many things you can do inside of that file. So many shortcuts, so many different things you can do. All right. Okay, so now displaying contents of a file on your screen. Okay, so trucks, right? So let's VI trucks, right? So this is the content that we have inside of trucks. So let's say you wanted to view this content, but you did not want to edit the file to actually take a look. So you just wanted to basically have that file almost spits the content out to the screen of what is inside of the file. So let me exit out of this file. Let's go to the top. All right, let's clear the screen. All right, so LL. All right, so I want to view the content inside of this file, but without having to edit the file, without having to VI into the file. So to display content inside of a file, you use cat. Cat is to display the content that's inside of a file. So cat, C-A-T, followed by the file name. So cat is going to display the content that is inside of a file. So once I cat trucks and I hit enter, it's going to display on the screen what is inside of the file, trucks. So this is our file, but we're not inside of the VI editor mode. All it's done is display the contents on the screen. So cat will display the contents of a file on your screen. So any questions related to cat?
What does CAT stand for?
It does not have, I don't believe it has, I don't think it's abbreviated for anything. Yeah, it doesn't stand for anything. It's cat is used to, basically used to display content, but it doesn't really have a, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so remember last class I told you, I don't think I told you, but every command has something called a manual page. Every command that's in Linux has its own manual page. So it basically explains to you what that command is, what it does, and the different flags that you can add to that command. Every command. So in order to see your manual page, all you do is type MAN, man for manual, space the command. So Google just asks, like, what is cat? Like, what does that stand for? If let's say you're not sure what it stands for, you can do man cat. So man cats. So as soon as I hit enter, it's going to pull up the manual page for cat. So cat. So let's see at the top. So cat, the name cat, concatenate files and prints on standard output. So these are some of the different flags that you can add to cat against a file. So every command has this. So in order to get out of the manual page, you just hit the letter Q. The letter Q will exit you out of the manual page. So let's say LL. LL is a command. So man LL. Okay, it doesn't have a manual page for that. All right, so man RM. RM is to remove a file, right? So man RM. So RM removes files or directories. So a description, this, okay, let's look at the options. So you remember we use the RM space dash RF to force to remove a file or directory. So this is where the flags came from. So the -F is to force, ignore non-existent files, never prompt. So it will actually, that's where the -F came from. If you look towards the bottom, you see the -R. Is basically recursive, removes directories and their contents recursively. So that's where the -R came from. You can also add the -V, verbose, explain what is being done. So if you did an RM-V RF, it will remove the file or directory and explain to you what is being done. That's the -V for verbose, explains to you what is being done while it's being done. So to get out of the manual page, you hit the letter Q. So that is manual page. Every command, any command that you can think of should have a manual page. All right, so I'm going to clear my screen. All right, so let's do LL. So what we did was we cat trucks. You can cat a file, but you cannot cat a directory. You can cat a file, but you cannot cat a directory. In order to see what is inside of a directory, let me clear my screen, LL. So the directory we have there is cars. You can CD into cars. Let's hit enter. What is inside of cars? We don't have anything there. So let's actually create some contents inside of cars. So touch, data 1, data 2, data 3, data 4, data 5. So what I did was I created 5 files inside of the cars directory. All right. So where am I currently at on my system? So do you remember the command to tell you where you currently are on the system?
PWD.
Yep, PWD. So right now we're in home cars. So let's say I wanted to go back a directory. I remember I taught you guys you can just CD into home, right? If you CD into home and you do LL, now you went back to the location you were at before. So let's go back into cars. So what you can actually do to actually, let me do PWD. What you can actually do to hop backwards, one is CD dot. So this might confuse you, but CD dot will hop you back one. So if I do CD dot and I hit enter, it's put me now into the home directory. So we were right here inside of the cars directory. I did CD dot and it just bounced me right back, bounced me backwards into the home directory. Instead of us having to do CD home, I did CD dot and it bounced me back a directory. So if I do LL, now I'm back here in this location. Or let me show you something that will explain this a little better. So I'm going to CD to a particular path. You don't need to worry about the specifics of the path. I'm just trying to show you this in more detail. So let's say I CD into my etc sysconfig network directory. So right now, if I do a PWD, this is where I'm currently at on the system. So in order to get back a directory, right now I'm inside of network scripts. That's where I'm at on my system. But if I wanted to bump back a directory, I do CD dot. Now I went from being inside of the network scripts, now it's bumped me backwards into sysconfig. So if I do a PWD, Now I'm inside of sysconfig. So do you all understand the cd dot dot?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to cd back into network scripts. All right. So pwd. So I'm inside of etc sysconfig network scripts. So to hop back one is cd dot dot to hop back one. But let's say I wanted to go from network scripts to sysconfig and then to etc. Let's say I wanted to hop back twice. So if I wanted to hop back twice, cd dot dot will put me inside of sysconfig. But if I wanted to hop back again, I put a slash and then another dot dot. So basically saying I want to bump back here to sysconfig, and then I want to bump back again to etc directory, etc directory. So once I hit enter, it puts me now inside of the etc directory, etc directory. Do you all understand that?
Yes.
Did anyone not understand that?
I understand.
I got it as well.
Okay, all right, that's good. All right, so let's go back to, let's actually go to var log, and let's look inside of that messages file again. I'm not going to VI into messages. I'm just going to display the content of messages on my screen. Messages is a huge file. So if I display it on the screen, it's not going to show everything in the file. It's just going to start from the bottom and just spit everything out on the screen. So if I did a cat messages and I hit enter, now it's just spitting everything out on the screen. You know, that's like it's like you. So let's say you wanted to, let's say you wanted to view the contents of a file, a large file, but you did not want to edit the file. You just wanted to display the contents on your screen, but you did not want to like VI into it and edit it. So let's say you wanted to start at the very top of a file, right? You wanted to start at the top of a file. What you'll do is you'll more the file. More the file will start you at the top of the file. More a file, or if you head a file, it will start you at the top of the file. So let's say I more messages. I hit enter. So right now, it is displaying, I'm not inside of the editor mode. I'm not inside of the editor mode. I'm starting at the top of the file, and if I continue to hit enter, it will basically take me down line by line. So I started at the top of the file, and it's taking me line by line. If I wanted to instead of taking me line by line, if I wanted to go page by page, I'll use the space bar. So the space bar will then take me page by page. The enter will take me line by line, but the space bar will take me page by page. So to get out of this more in a file, you just hit the letter Q. Will get you out of that. But let's say you wanted to take a look at the very bottom of the file. Let's say you wanted to start from the very bottom. Like, I know what I need is at the bottom of the file. So if you wanted to look at the bottom of the file, you just do a tail messages, tail messages. If I hit enter, now it's basically displayed the last, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe last 10 lines of the file. The last 10 lines of the file. But let's say I needed more. I actually needed to see more of the last, let's say I wanted to see the last maybe 30 lines. No, the last 10 lines is not enough. That'll be a tail minus 30, which indicates 30 lines, messages. So tail hyphen 30, which indicates I want to display the last 30 lines, messages, followed by the file. So once I hit enter, now it's displaying, let me clear my screen and let me run that command again. Tail minus 30 messages. So now it's displaying the last 30 lines of that file. Tail minus 30 messages is now displaying the last 30 lines of my file. Does everyone understand that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now let's more messages again. So messages will actually start me from the top. I can scroll down. I can scroll down as much as I want, but I cannot scroll back up. So if I try to scroll back up, it's not going to allow me to. That's only when you more a file. When I try to scroll back up, it doesn't allow me to. It just keeps going down. This keeps going down if I hit enter. But if I use the up arrow key, it's not going to take me back up to the top. Or to see, okay, I might have missed some content above. Let me use my up arrow key. It's not allowing me to. So let's hit the letter Q to quit out of that. Let me clear my screen. So another option you can do on a file is called less. So you can less a file. So less messages. So when you less messages, it actually starts you at the top of the file. It does the same thing. You can use the enter key to go towards the bottom. You can use a space bar, which will display page by page going towards the bottom. But then it also gives you the ability to go back up. It gives you the ability to go back up just using the up arrow key. See, now I'm able to go back up. And this is only when you use less. So the crazy thing is you get more out of less. I know that sounds a little crazy with this particular command, but you can utilize this less command with more things to be able to be done instead of having to more it. So it's best to less a file. It's best to less a file. So you hit the letter Q. All right. So does anyone have any questions so far? Any questions at all? Does everyone understand everything so far?
Yes.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay. All right. So let's stay at our messages file because that's a really good file we can play around with. Let's say you knew exactly what you wanted to display on your screen, but you did not want to see everything else. Let's say this messages file is huge. I know exactly what I'm looking for inside of this file, but I want to display it on my screen, but I don't want to display everything. I only wanted to display what I'm looking for. So if I cat messages, right? If I cat messages, what is that going to do? It's going to display everything on my screen, right? If I cat messages, it displays everything. But let's say I wanted to dissect that file and only pull certain content out of that file. So once I cat and I display everything on my screen, I'll use the command pipe, which is shift, and you see the backspace button on your keyboard. Underneath it or above your enter key, you'll see a line that's going straight up and down. So you do shift and you hit that key there, which is called pipe. So pipe, and then I want to grab the particular contents that I'm looking for inside that file. So I'm going to explain again. So to cat messages, it's going to basically throw everything out on the screen. But I want to grab specific contents that I'm looking for. So if you want to grab specific content, you do pipe space grep. So cat messages will do what? It will display everything to my screen. But I want to grab some certain things out of that file. So pipe grep basically means, hey, I'm ready to grab those certain items that you're looking for inside of this file. So what am I looking for inside this file? Let's say I'm looking for maybe a word that says root or something, right? So cat messages pipe grep root. So I'm going to explain this again. So cat messages will spit everything out on the screen. Pipe grep means, okay, I'm ready to now grab some particular content out of everything that is being spit out on your screen. So I only show you lines in this file that have the word root in it. So cat messages pipe grep root. So once I hit enter, so now you'll see it's only displayed the lines inside of this file that have the word root in it. So it's only displaying the lines inside of the file that have the words R-O-O-T inside of it. So if you look at each line, it's grabbed only root. So let me show you another example. So there's a word on here. I see a word here that says window, W-I-N-D-O-W. So let me clear my screen. So I'm going to cat messages pipe grep window, enter. So now it's displaying the lines inside of this file that have the words window in it. So let me make this a little more easier. So let's go back to our home directory. Let me LL this file. So let's cat trucks, right? What's inside of trucks? We have this content here inside of trucks. So let's say I only wanted to display that color yellow. So cat trucks pipe grep, not even yellow, contents that start with the letter Y, right? And I hit enter. So now it's displaying the lines that is displaying have the letter Y inside of it. So yellow, Toyota currently has a letter Y. So let's clear my screen, not even clear it. Let's type just yellow. So if I just type yellow and I hit enter, now it's only going to display yellow. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Adewale Ugo. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah, it does.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So cat trucks displays this content. So let me clear that. So cat trucks pipe grep the letter Y, and it displays this content here. But let's say, okay, I want to continue displaying the letter Y, right? But now I want to display. So now what is done is cat trucks pipe grep Y. This is what it's going to display. But let's say I wanted to go further and I wanted to display other content after I've grepped Y. So pipe grep Y will display this content here. So if I pipe grep once again to go a little further, let's say Linux, right? I see a word Linux in there and I hit enter. So now our first section up here was grepping content with the letter Y, right? And it spit that on the screen. So once it spit that on the screen, I dissected it even more. It will display content with the letter Y at the top, but now I only wanted to display Linux, lines that have Linux in it. So you can go on and on and on. So I can pipe, grep, once all these lines are all the same, so it's not going to really make a difference. Okay, but do you understand what I just did?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Okay. All right, I'm going to clear my screen. All right. So now that's basically searching content inside of a file. So we can cat trucks, you can cat trucks, pipe, grep. I just wanted to display green. You can pipe, grep, just BL, and it'll display blue. So that's searching the contents of a file. So that's basically searching the contents of a file. All right, so now let me give you another example. So now let's VI back into trucks. Oh, you know what? Let's go to a much larger file. I'm going to VI into a file. It's called Etsy Suitors. Don't worry about what the file is. We'll go into all of that later. I was trying to explain to you more of searching the content of a file. So I'm going to hit enter. So now let's say you come into a file and you need to look for a particular word inside of the file while you're inside of edit mode. So now we VI'd into a file called Suitors, and we need to locate a particular word. So to locate or to search and locate for a particular word inside of this file, you use a slash. So you see at the bottom left-hand corner of my screen, as soon as I put slash, it puts a slash there. I'm not inside of insert mode. So insert mode is actually to type contents inside of a file. Even though you see this slash, it's not actually typing it inside of the file. It's just giving me the ability now to be able to search for a particular word. So you first use slash and followed by the word that you're looking for. So ROOT, I'm looking for words inside of this file called root, right? So once I hit enter, it's going to take me to the first word inside of this file called root. And let's say I wanted to continue searching for words in this file called root. You will now hit the letter N, N as in Nancy, N for next. So once I hit N, it'll take me to the next word in the file called root, and I hit an N again. Now it takes me to the next word in the file called root, and I hit N once again. Now it takes me to the next one. I hit N again, takes me to the next one, and I can keep going on until it gets to the very bottom of the file. So you see, search hit the bottom. So that was the last word root inside of this file. So let's say I wanted to search for a word. I'd hit slash followed by the word. Let's say I wanted to search for a word called groups, and I hit enter. Okay, so it took me straight to this word here called groups. And I hit the letter N again, and it's taking me to the next one, but I'm not sure where it is. Right there, groups. And then if I hit N once again, now it takes me to the next one. So that's basically searching through a file for a particular like value, particular word. So Ugo, you have a question?
Yes, I do have a question. While I was trying to follow you, I missed something in that whole situation. So I don't know if you could possibly show that again.
Okay. All right. So is it searching inside of the file?
Yes, searching inside of the
Okay.
file.
All right. So right now we VI'd into a file. So to search content inside of a file, you do slash. You see at the bottom left-hand corner of my screen. Once you hit slash, and then you type in the word that you're looking for. So I do ROOT. Echo. One second.
Sorry.
I'm hearing the echo.
It's my mic. I forgot to mute it. Give me one.
Okay.
I think I can get to it. It takes me a second because it tries to go from the other screen.
Okay. All right. So ROOT, and I hit enter. So now it takes me to the first word inside of this file called roots. And I hit the letter N, N for Nancy, which is next. Hit the letter N, it takes me to the next word in the file called roots. Hit the letter N again, takes me to the next one here. Hit the letter N again, takes me to the next word. And I'm not sure if I showed you guys, but once you click inside of your screen, your mouse disappears. If you want to get your mouse back, I don't think I showed you, you hit Control Alt. Control Alt. Control Alt will give you your mouse back. So once you click inside of your command line, your mouse goes away. So you can't use your mouse anymore. But once you want to get your mouse back, you hit Control Alt. Not sure if I showed you guys that. That's how you'll do it. So to search, you do slash followed by what you're looking for. So let's say I'm looking for a particular name. J. Smith, and I hit enter. So look, it took me straight. It took my cursor straight to J. Smith. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay. All right, so I'm going to show you. I just saved that file and I exited. All right, so LL. All right, so I'm going to cat trucks. All right, so what do we have inside of here again? We have cars and we have trucks. I'm going to create another file. I want to call this file data. Hit enter. I do an LL. So now I have data, and now I have trucks. So now I'm going to show you how to redirect the contents you have displayed on your screen into another location. So once you display contents in your screen using CAT, you can actually redirect that contents to another location. So instead of having it displayed on your screen, you can actually redirect it. So I'm going to show you how to redirect contents on your screen to another location. So I'm going to clear my screen. So I'm going to CAT. So I'm going to do LL. So we have a file now called data. So if I CAT trucks, it displays this content here. But let's say I wanted to redirect all of this content that is being displayed here. Instead of displaying it, I want to redirect it into that file called data. So while displaying, before it displays it, it will take that content and place it inside of another file. So CAT trucks, shift, arrow, arrow. So redirect. Those arrows are for redirect. Yeah, redirect. And where do you want it to redirect it to? I want to redirect it to the file called data. So CAT is supposed to display it. So instead of displaying it, I want to redirect that display into a file. So it's actually going to redirect it into a file. So if I just did CAT trucks, it places it, it prints it here. So I want to redirect that print to that file called data. So once I hit enter, it hasn't displayed anything. It redirected that display into that file I created called data. So if I clear my screen and I do an LL, I hit enter. So right now, if I CAT data, is going to be the content that's in here is now the same content that's inside of trucks. So what I did was I redirected that data into the data file. So one thing that you need to also understand is when you're redirecting data. So let's clear my screen. If I did a CAT trucks and I did a arrow arrow, two arrows means that you want to take what is being displayed and I want to place it at the end of the new file that I'm directing it to. Two arrows means that I want to place it at the bottom of that new file I'm redirecting it to. That's if there's any content in it. So if there's a whole bunch of content in a new file and you want to redirect new information, you use two arrows. We'll redirect it and place it at the bottom of the file. But if you just use one arrow, what it's going to do is going to delete everything out of that file that you're trying to redirect the information to, and it will place the new information in there that you're redirecting inside of it. So right now we have content inside of data, right? So let me show you an example. Let me show you another trick here. So CAT trucks arrow arrow data. So right now I'm going to display that content again and redirect it into data. So once I hit enter and I do a CAT, let me clear my screen. I do a CAT data and I hit enter. So right now you can see, right now we have that information in there twice. I redirected the contents inside of trucks, I redirected it into data twice. So I did it the first time, it placed it at the top because there was nothing in there. And I did it the second time with the 2 arrows, which placed it at the bottom of the file. That's with 2 arrows. So if I catch trucks, but I use just 1 arrow, it's going to delete everything inside of data and place the new contents that is being displayed inside of data. So that's one thing you need to be careful with. So once I hit enter with just 1 arrow, and now, let me clear my screen. And now when I catch data, now I only have that first set of information that was inside of trucks. It removed everything else first and then placed this in here. So let me show you something. So if I did this with 2 arrows, cat trucks, arrow, arrow into data, and I did it again, did it again, did it again, did it again, right? Let me clear my screen. And if I cat data, now we have it didn't even show us everything that was at the top because it was so much that it was what I believe five redirects that I did into this file. So how do I, let me clear my screen. So I catch data. Okay, I can't see what's at the top of my file. How do I see what's on the top of my file? The wallet.
GG.
Okay. So if you VI and edit into your file, if you VI data, okay, it starts me off at the top. But while you're in VI mode, to get to the bottom of the file, remember you can use Shift G, takes you to the bottom. But to get back to the top, while you're in edit mode, you can use GG. That will take you back to the top of the file. But let me exit out of this file. And let me clear. So remember, you can more data. If you more data, it will start you off at the top of the file. And then will allow you to continue hitting enter to go through. So more, you can either more the file, let me clear my screen, or you can less data, which will start you at the top of the file. All right, so now let me, do you understand that? Hey, Adewale.
Sorry, my question, I just want to ask, is data a directory of or file? Because I knew you were moving it from trucks, which is a file, and to data. Is data a directory or file?
Yeah, so data is do you remember how to tell the difference between a file and a
Yes.
directory?
Yes, cars is a directory, data is a file, and truck is a file as well.
Yeah, so the very left, you'll see
Yes.
cars is a directory, data is a file, and trucks is a file. So you can, so I redirected the contents from one file to another file. Yeah, but you can't redirect contents from a file to a directory.
So it's possible to do
understand?
from a file to a directory as well.
No, it's not possible.
Oh, okay, okay.
So let's actually try and see what we get. So I'm going to cat data. So let me cat trucks actually. Let's cat trucks, and I'm going to redirect it into that directory called cars. Let's see what it'll do. It's not going to redirect it into cars, but what it might do is that it will create a new file called cars and redirect it into that new file. That's what it might do. but it won't actually redirect it into that directory called cars. It might create a new file called cars and redirect it into it. So let's actually try and see what happens. Okay, so it says cars is a directory. So it's not going to allow you to do that. But the example that I was just giving you, that it might create a new file. So let's clear the screen, LL. So we have data and we have trucks. So if you catch trucks and you redirect to a file called data3. Data3 we haven't created data3, but I'm telling the system I want to catch the contents inside of trucks, but I want you to display it inside of a file called data3. Data3 does not exist, but what it's going to do is it's going to create a new file. It's going to create a new file called data3 and redirect the contents into that file for you. So once I hit enter, I didn't get any errors. So when I do LL, we have the file called data3 right there. So it created a new file called data3. So if I catch data3, now we have this content in it. So it actually created that new file for us. Even though we didn't create it using touch, the system automatically created it for us and redirected it into the file. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, so, all right, so we've done copying files, moving files, removing files and directories, displaying the content of a file, searching the contents of a file, changing directories, making directories, and understanding the command line VI. Okay, so another thing I'm going to show you. So let's go back to our messages file, which was located in var log. So I'm going to clear this. So remember, if you cat messages, what's that going to do? It's going to just spit everything out on the screen since it's such a large file. But we said we can more messages, we can less messages, and we can tail messages. But another thing that you can do if you cat messages, you can cat messages and display it, but instead of displaying it, you can pipe more. So pipe more is basically going to display the contents on your screen, but it's going to more the contents on your screen. So it's going to start, the content that's being displayed is going to start from the top and allow you to scroll down. So once I hit enter, it starts me up from the top of the file, and now I can use my enter key to go down line by line, use my space bar to go page by page, right? But I cannot go back up, right? So let's hit the letter Q. So cat messages pipe more. So you can cat messages pipe less as well. So it will display the content on your screen, but also less the content while it's being displayed. So it starts me off at the top and allows me to go through the file towards the bottom, and I can use my up arrow key to get to the top. I can also use Shift G to get to the bottom of the file, just like if you were editing a file. So if I use Shift G, it now is taking me back to the bottom of the file, but we're not in VI editing mode. We just cat messages less the file. And if you want to get back to the top, just use GG, which takes you back to the top of the file. All right. Yeah, I see Leyland just joined. Yeah, this session is being recorded, so you'll be able to review what you've missed. All right. Okay. Did everyone understand what I just did?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So that ends it there for Linux utilities.